Hello, today let's talk about some science. So we are going to talk about nuclear domain ceiling and how it applies to fitness. So it refers to the upper limit or constraint on the amount or complexity of nuclear content that a cell's nucleus can support. So this term is commonly used in the context of genome size, chromatin organization, and the interplay between the nuclear environment and cellular function. So this, let's say they are the key aspects of this concept. So let's begin with aspect 1, whereby we have genomic limitations. So cells have a maximum capacity for a nuclear-based, let's say DNA-based, on structural and functional. So structure, how it is structured, and functional, how it operates, constraints, yeah? And this can limit how much DNA can be stored and effectively processed within the nucleus. This is particularly relevant in organisms with very large genomes or those with, let's say, polyploid cells, where the nucleus must manage higher DNA content efficiently. So aspect number 2, chromatin organization. Here we say the nuclear domain ceiling involves the spatial organization of chromatin and other nuclear components. There's a limit to how much chromatin can be tightly packed or arranged without disrupting, let's say, essential processes like transcription, there's replication and repair. Then we have aspect number 3, cellular and evolutionary implications. So cells and organisms may evolve mechanisms to cope with cellular, or rather with the nuclear domain ceiling. So they can come up with ways to cope with that. For instance, some organisms develop larger nuclei or increase the number of nuclei. Yeah? So in evolutionary biology, the nuclear domain ceiling, let's say, might influence genome size evolution, where excessive DNA accumulation is counteracted by selective pressures. So this concept is interdisciplinary, often discussed, let's say, in biology, evolutionary, genomics, and bioengineering contexts, where understanding nuclear constraints is crucial for studying cellular limitations and maybe adaptation. So how does this then apply to fitness? In the context of fitness and exercise physiology, the concept of a nuclear domain ceiling can be connected to how muscle grow and adapt to training, particularly regarding to muscle hypertrophy and the role of myonuclei. Yeah? So number 1, muscle growth and myonuclear domain. So skeletal muscle fibers are multinucleated, meaning they have multiple nuclei within each muscle cell. These nuclei control a certain region of the muscle fiber known as the myonuclear domain. So the ceiling concept applies here. Each myonucleus can only support a limited volume of cytoplasm or muscle fiber area. So beyond this limit, additional nuclei are required to sustain further growth. So number 2, satellite cells and adaptation. So during muscle hypertrophy, that's growing of muscle due to resistance training, muscle fibers recruit new myonuclei from satellite cells, and there might also be called muscle stem cells to expand the nuclear capacity. If the satellite cells fail to donate new nuclei, or if muscle fiber, let's say, reaches its nuclear domain ceiling, further growth may become limited, even if training intensity increases. So I hope you have understood those. So number 3, so let's say practical implications for fitness. So training volume and recovery, that's number 1. Whereby we say overtraining without adequate recovery might prevent satellite cells from contributing effectively to hypertrophy, let's say restricting muscle growth. And then there's also, in terms of aging and nuclear dynamics, aging can reduce satellite cell activity, making it harder for older individuals to overcome the nuclear domain ceiling, which is why muscle growth tends to slow with age. So I hope you have understood why muscle growth, let's say, slows with age. We have number 3, nutrition and supplementation. So proper nutrition supports, let's say, e.g. Protein intake, supports muscle repair and growth by enhancing satellite cells activation and nuclear recruitment. So it's important for you to, if you are doing resistance training, to do a lot of better amount of protein intake. Then we have maximizing adaptation, number 4, and this is in terms of progressive overload, whereby to push the boundaries of the nuclear domain ceiling, progressive resistance training is key because it stimulates muscle fibers to recruit more nuclei to support growth. So in terms of periodization, balancing a training load and recovery ensures satellite cells are active or remain active and capable of supporting hypertrophy over time. So let's say in summary, the nuclear cell, let's say nuclear domain ceiling highlights the biological limits of muscle growth and underscores the importance of strategic training, recovery, and nutrition to maximize fitness adaptation. I know it's a lot of science, but then if you take time to maybe understand, take it time slowly, you'll be able to get the points. Cheers. See you next time.